Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the late start. Having a lot of connection issues today with Zoom and with TradingView specifically. So try to get this going right here. So, all right, guys, good morning, everybody. As people join in, again, sorry for the late start. There's a bunch of connection issues happening with TradingView right now. I don't know what's up with TradingView. It's not loading. Zoom's having issues as well. And finally was able to get on here. So try to do this real quick. So I'll mark up opening price. Market is now open. Try to mark up liquidity real quick. I'm just going to mark up the closest levels of liquidity. It's kind of pointless to go super far out. As you guys can see, my trading view is loading very, very slow whenever I go from time frame to time frame. It's a widespread issue with trading view today. Just going to mark up the really close liquidity. Yeah, as you guys can see, it's super laggy for some reason today. I don't know if anybody else is having this issue, but super annoying. All right. $15-minute. Down to the 10-minute. Back down to the 1-minute. All right, guys. So as you guys can see, market is now currently open. My trading view is just being really, really laggy today. I don't think the candles are laggy. It's just the loading. So, the loading of the pages and stuff. So I'm gonna try not to refresh it as much. I'm just gonna finish updating everything over here. There's nothing going on right now, so not really anything to miss. All right. Looks like we are good to go. So let me check the calendar real quick. So we had news this morning, 5:30 retail sales. So 5:30, 6:15, 7. So we had the big push right here, 5:30, 6:15, which was right here. See how far this pushed up. Yeah, it pushed up about 100 points. Not a crazy amount, but decent. We got news at 7 o'clock, medium impact, and 7:30 gas stock change. All right, so we got some news over here at 7. Got some news over here at 7:30. So looking at current price right now, there's no entries here yet. There's a market flow that was possibly setting up right here, but it wasn't very strong enough for me to want to take it. I would have needed it to push down a little further. It looks like the candles here are a little volatile, or not really a little volatile, but they're like a little big. We'll see where this ends up going from here. So there's not really too much direction right now. As you guys can see, price is actually just ranging between the 650 and the 600 mark. So I'll mark that up over here on the clean chart, 650 and the 600 mark. So price is pretty much just ranging between this middle area right here. There's not really too much going on. It's trying to break past it, but it's not having too much luck. Retail sentiment's currently 73% short, I believe. Yeah, 72% short. So this indicates that 72% of retail traders are currently selling right now. So we typically want to do the opposite and buy. Price is obviously climbing up super heavily right now, so that's a good sign. And we'll try to continue looking for some more buys here. The only problem with this is, like I said earlier, it's just kind of flat right now. It's not really moving very directional as it should. My mouse on it. For some reason, my mouse is not going to. And my computer is all messed up today, guys. Sorry. I can't. My mouse will not go over to my trading view for some reason. Oh, there we go. Fuck with this. Something's up with my computer. I just got to restart my computer, I think. It's probably just an issue with my computer, guys. I don't think you guys are having issues with trading view um or anything else really, Zoom. It's just my computer. So I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I couldn't move my mouse to my trading view right here. It was all on my other three screens, but not on my trading view. So I'll continue to look over here. I'll probably look at the charts from my NinjaTrader versus my trading view because it seems a little laggy on my end. Yeah, I just got to restart my computer. I think I haven't turned off my computer in a really long time, so I mean, it makes sense. All right, so we have a possible market flow entry that could be setting up right here. It actually comes down a bit. So no market flow there yet. I'm just watching it for if it comes down any further. We've got 20 seconds left on this candle, so probably not. Yeah, no entry there for market flow. Again, price is trying to get past this range right here, but it's not really having too much luck. Keeps trying to push past it, but every time it pushes past it, it gets pulled right back down. See where the sessions are at. So price is actually really high right now. All the sessions are down here, so there's no red flags up this area. It's pretty much open space. So I'll keep watching here for a possible market flow. Again, I'm looking for price to come down, bounce off the pivot, swing right back up for correction. There's decent volatility here. So there's a movement on the chart. ATR is currently at 30 right now almost. So there is some movement. There just isn't very much direction. There's volatility of a push back and forth, but there's not really much of a direction where price climbs up consistently. It's more so just ranging between the 650 and the 600 mark right here. Let's see, possible market flow on the next candle. I'll put a pending order right there.
Order submitted.
So I got a pending order just waiting there in case it swings back up. It's got 40 seconds left on this candle right here. So looking at the movement here, I'm not certain if this will swing back up. I'll be watching to cancel it in case it doesn't. We've got 20 seconds left on this candle. It does not look like it's going to swing back up, so I'm probably going to cancel it pretty soon. Yeah, I'm going to cancel it. The volatility here is very high now. Starting to pick back up.
Order canceled.
Was not expecting this to swing back up. You have 8 seconds left on this candle. And there we go. Price kind of swings back up from this point here. So no entry there. Price never swung up to fill it. Now we just gotta wait. So now that price is kind of slowing down below here a little bit, I'm gonna wait a little bit for another opportunity for it to swing back up. So I'm not really gonna take any market flows that are down here. If you guys want to take them, feel free to take them. But what I'm gonna look for is for price to swing back up, retrace, and push up higher from there. Again, price is still trapped within this range right here. You guys can see the range I marked up between the 650 and the 600. It's not having much luck getting past this area right here. It just keeps faking out. Comes up to this point, pushes back down to fake out, pushes below here, probably push right back up to fake out. Just fake outs in both directions here. And you can see right there, it's right back into the range. So here we go as price pushes back up. I'll be looking for a market flow as it pushes past the pivots over here. I'm looking for it to break and close past the pivots, retrace, push back up higher from there. And that'll be my market flow entry. The one thing that I've noticed, I kind of went back in the charts over the past couple of weeks. The momentum divergence works pretty well. So if you guys want to look for the momentum divergence, if you guys have been following that, that's one of the entries that I've seen to work well. I might start incorporating that into another entry for myself here as well. So basically I'm looking for like a buy signal, looking for momentum to diverge and then swing back up and catch the continuation in that direction. So currently right now we have a sell signal right here. Basically, if you're looking for momentum divergence, it's the same pattern as a market flow. It's just you're looking at divergence versus rejection off structure. So right here we have a bearish momentum. I'd be looking for this to swing down, swing up, swing back down. So I'd be looking at the divergence down here to confirm that retracement. So swinging down right now, retracement, swinging back down. Once you have that, that's going to be a divergence entry. And I've noticed that to be hitting over the past couple of weeks, if not past couple of months. So last night I did a lot of just back testing just to see which strategies are hitting right now. The breakout V3 continuations work very well as well, but they just don't come up very often. So there's like one right here. This happened pre-market, obviously. So I wouldn't have taken that. There's another breakout V3 continuation right here. That played through as well. That's news. So yeah, the three main strategies that I've seen like work very well lately from what I've tested. I haven't really looked at any others. Possibly level entries could have been good, but momentum divergence, breakout V3 continuations, they both don't come up very often, but when they do, they typically do hit. And then of course the market flow entries. There's a market flow entry that just came up right here. If anybody took that, that went straight to full TP. It was at a red flag at opening price, but obviously I didn't take it. Like I said, I'm not taking anything down here. From this week's market conditions, I'm basically following the pivots 1 and 2 here. I'm not really using all the pivots. I'm using the pivots 1 and 2 here. So price came down, bounced off the pivot, shot back up. That was the divergent. This was the market flow right here. So I'll try to look out for, those 3 entries. I'm still going to stick to the market flow, but I'll focus on the other 3 as well, or the other 2, 3 in total. If I do see them come up, I want to see them come up real time to see if they're actually hitting and they're not just like looking like that during back testing phase. Just to forward test and see how they're playing out during real market conditions. Because the conditions here are pretty crazy, as you guys can see. It's too volatile. So it's really hard to identify, what's actually hitting smoothly and what's actually not, because it's hard to back test something like, say, a breakout V3 continuation when these candles are so big, because you can't really see whether it hits TP or stop loss first. So that's a key thing as well. All right, we got price swinging back up here. Again, I'm looking for price to swing back up, retrace, and continue up higher. We have a pretty big range here now. So the range kind of spread out. It's no longer at the 600. It's now at the 550. So now it's pretty much just moved down to a 100-point range. Earlier it was a 50-point range right here at the 600 mark. Now it's down to 550. So 650 and 550 is the range. You can see how price is going back and forth between these 2 areas. This looks like the same exact market as yesterday. So if you guys remember yesterday, we pretty much waited all session. The only thing with yesterday is that we had a bunch of red flags here in the middle, right? So we couldn't take any entries. The good thing about today is that we have this big range. It's a 100-point range, but we have a lot of open space here. So we could still take trades if price pushes up and comes back down from here. So we don't have any red flags down here in the middle. There's no sessions. There's no news price. It's pretty much open field. So we'll be okay to take entries, if the pattern does come up, which price pushes up, retrace, continuation. Because we can trade within this area here. So you can take buys within this area, you can take sells within this area, it's perfectly fine. Because there's no red flags aside from the opening price right here. So this is the only red flag that I can, personally see right now. So we might have a market flow entry setting up right here, guys. You got to pay attention. You got to be quick because these entries come up and they disappear very quickly. So you just got to get in and out when you have that opportunity. It's not going to happen on this candle, but possibly on the next one. So we have, let's see, 30 seconds left on this candle. I'll continue to follow it and watch it. But I will be looking to enter on the next candle if it does push past the pivots here. I needed to push past the pivots and close up there. So we have some space for the retracement. Otherwise, we're gonna have to wait for another couple candles. So looking at this here, does not look like it has the power, but I'm gonna watch for it. Yeah, there's no power here. So this candle didn't close above it. I'm not gonna be able to take any entry here yet. Again, I need price to be above the pivots, retrace, continuation higher. There's a possible market flow here off the opening price. I mean, I wouldn't have taken it because that's a red flag to me, but it's a setup. So again, I'm going to wait for price to break and close past these pivots, retrace, and continue up higher. Same pattern I've been applying for the past couple months. It works as long as you wait for it. Right here, you can see price is having trouble. Now the consolidation is between the 600 and the 550. So the big range is between the 650 and the 550, but the consolidation is happening between basically between this and between this. So there's consolidation. So again, this is the reason why I was waiting for it to push above, because you can see how price isn't really ready yet, right? You could have taken a market flow here for a sell. This price came up, bounced off the pivot too, and came right back down. But again, I'm looking for some confirmation here. If this is the case and price continues to drop, then that's completely fine. I'll start looking for some sells here. It's just I don't have a confirmation yet that price is ready to continue dropping from here. Look like price is going to continue climbing, but now it looks like price is actually looking to continue dropping lower. Either way, I couldn't take this market flow right here because it was right at opening price. As you guys know, it's a red flag. We have news price right here. This is low impact news. The high impact news is over here. So you can still take trades around this news event. See, we have liquidity sitting up here. If price continues dropping, the first target it's going to hit is going to be this level of liquidity down here. It's a lot of chop right here. I don't like when price is sitting in between the pivots like this. So price continues to drop again. First target is going to be this level of liquidity. So we are here at the 40,490 mark. But right now, we just don't have much of a direction. So I'm going to sit tight for a little bit. Going to sit tight, see if we get that reversal to the downside. If we get that reversal, that's fine. I'll look for some sells. However, I think price is going to swing back up. So I'm looking for this to swing back up to this direction. The only problem here now is that we're getting close to the opening price, and this is a red flag for me. So I can't shake any trades around this area. I need price to push above, climb up higher, or if price comes down lower, I need price to drop below and continue dropping from here. But again, there's no rush, guys. Just wait for the entry to come to you. 6:48 right now. We got news over here at 7 o'clock. It's medium impact. So at 7 o'clock, we have NAHB Housing Market Index. It's supposed to be good news because the rates are going to be falling next month. So if you guys have heard of that, I mean, there's news all over the place. They're supposed to be dropping the interest rates next month. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, with that news, that's why price started pushing up right here. So you can see how price started pushing up because retail sales were good. And then on top of that, they mentioned that they're going to be cutting the interest rates next month. It's supposed to be a pretty big cut. I don't think it's going to be huge, but it's going to be a pretty decent big cut, maybe by like 0.5 to 1%, somewhere around there. I know it's just one cut this year, so they got to make it a worthwhile cut. It can't be less than 0.5%. All right, we got price pushing back up. Again, I need to wait for price to push past the opening price. It's not getting so much direction over here. Let's see, iPhone is asking, is what is happening now what you were talking about, sell signal retracement, then divergence? Yeah. So this could be the case here. It's got to be like a real retracement though, like it needs to actually push up. So basically not down here, but or I mean, yeah, it could have happened right here, but because there was news price, I wouldn't have taken any entries right here. You still have to look out for the red flags, but this is the pattern that I was basically mentioning. So sell signal, divergence came down. We had a bit of a retracement right here, but the divergence didn't happen until like this red candle, which was touching news price, so you wouldn't have taken it. But again, yeah, if the divergence comes back down, it's basically the same as market flow. So like for market flow, we're looking for price to push up, retrace, and continue up higher, right? It's the same thing with divergence. So with the same pattern that I'm mentioning, we're looking for the same thing, price to come down, retrace, and continuation to the downside. But we just need price to be away from the red flags here. So yes, that is correct. iPhone, we're looking for the same pattern here. You can see it's setting up, but again, it's like right at the news price. So basically, you want this to happen, but you want it to happen below this news price. Like you want it to happen down here, because if this happens down here, then it's going to be a continuation of direction, right? And the target's going to be right here at liquidity. So you can see the divergence is trying really hard to break past it. It's just not there yet. So this candle will probably be the divergence. I mean, if anybody wants to take it, feel free, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a risky entry just because it's at news price. If it wasn't at news price, fine. But because it's at news price, um, it makes it a bit tricky. And you can see the divergence here. It's trying to cross, but it's not really having much luck. It has to be something smooth like this. Like you can see over here, it's pretty smooth. When the divergence crossed right here, it came down pretty heavily. And there was no red flags around this area. All right, so I'll continue looking for opportunity here. Like I said, it's just not really, there's some, like when you look here now, there's direction, but if you're looking at it real time, there's not really too much direction here. It's really just choppy. Here is the clean chart. I'll mark up new structure once it has pretty much set up. So again, right here, this is pretty much a setup that we were just talking about, John. I think you're John, right? iPhone, you're John. So same setup again right here, but again, you want it to close below. So again, it didn't close below it. I mean, it closed below, but not like really close below it. You want it to close below and then not touch it, because then you have a clear path right here to liquidity. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the same market that we've been dealing with since yesterday. If you guys remembered yesterday, this is the same thing that happened. It just became a big range. Um, you really just want price to break out of the range. I mean, realistically, that's what you want. That's what you're looking for. The only problem here is that the range is not really okay. So I'll just push this up a little higher like this, or a little lower. And let's see if we have any structure here that I can draw up. So we got structure right there. There was another market flow entry that came up right here, guys. I don't know if anybody saw this, but it came up to the level 2 pivot. So I said, like I said this week, I'm only looking at level 2 and level 1 pivots. There was another market flow entry that came up right here, but I just don't feel comfortable taking any entries at this point. I just don't like that there's not really much of a trend here. I mean, price is attempting to shift to the downside, and I'm all for the downside. It's just price is having a lot of trouble getting past the news price right here. The thing with this is that this isn't even high impact news. This is low impact news that happened at 6:15, which shouldn't really have a huge effect on the market. But I mean, here we are, right? Here we are kind of stuck in this area. So back to the clean chart right here, as you guys can see again. This is like a consolidation area. This is why I don't want to trade within this middle area, because you can see how price gets faked out. Price just consolidates within this middle area. It comes right here, fakes out, pulls right back into the range. The range is actually up here. This is a big range, and then we have the consolidation right here. Technically, this is the range right here. But because price dropped a little further, just brought it down a little further from where it's currently at. But you guys can see here, if you zoom out, you'll see that there's not really much going on here. It's really just going sideways. It looks directional from here, but realistically, it was sideways, came down a little bit, and back to being sideways right here. So consolidation, breakout, consolidation. Possibly another breakout. So there's one of two things that may happen here. So where price is consolidating down here, it's going to break out in one direction, right? So it's either going to break out back to this upper level and then possibly consolidate around here, basically like what was happening over here, or it'll break out below and then consolidate down here. So the pattern that's kind of repeating itself this week is breakout, consolidation, or what happens is it typically just ranges through the entire day. If you guys remember the market from yesterday, it pretty much just ranged the entire day. There just wasn't really much going on. It's the same with today. There's consolidation here, not really much going on. There was movement here pre-market because of the news from this morning, and then it just went flat. So again, I'm looking for entries here, but I need price to do something. Okay, so price is finally pushing away from the consolidation zone. The thing that you want to be careful for here is you want to be careful for the fake out, right? So of course, we want price to come down further. That's best case scenario. Best case scenario is price continues to drop. We have some opportunities here for a sell. Worst case scenario is price comes down a little bit, fakes out, pulls back into the range. And then once it pulls back into this area, it just goes back to what it was doing earlier. So ideally, I would like a breakout and then consolidation in a lower zone, because then we'll have price pushing away from where it's currently at. What I don't want is I don't want price to fake out right here and then pull back into the range, because then we're going to be stuck here for like the next 30 minutes, right? You guys have seen this happen yesterday. We pretty much watched for price to break out of the range for about basically 2 hours, and it never actually broke out of it. All right, so we got news coming up in about 2 minutes. It's medium impact news, guys, so we'll see how this affects the market. I'm hoping it does something, like there's some sort of catalyst here that pushes price out, because it is medium impact. It does have to do with the housing news. Just not sure exactly. Not exactly sure how much of a push. So there's a possible market flow entry right here setting up, guys. Again, it's right at news price, so I don't know if it's like going to be a good entry, because you guys can see how manipulation happens here. Typically, I don't really care about the lower impact news events like this, but because you can see that it's clearly having trouble getting past it, it's one of those news events that should probably be looked out for. There's also news coming up right here. So another reason why I'm not looking to take this, because I don't want to get screwed if price spikes on the news open right here. So the market flow entry here did play through if you guys took it. If you guys grabbed it, nice work. It came up, touched the green pivot right here at pivot level 1. And then it shot right down to TP. So this would have been a solid entry if this news price wasn't here. And then also if we didn't have the next news event coming up right here, right next to it. So a lot of different setups here. And then John, if you were looking for that divergence, the divergence happened, looks like on this red candle right here. And it looks like it played through as well. So depending on whatever you guys decide to take, like I said, I'm going to give you guys a heads up when these strategies come up. I said, look out for the divergence played through. It was a little bit of a tricky area because of the news price right here, but there's two entries that came up. There's a divergence that came up right there. And then there was a market flow entry that happened right here, both full TPs. Nice. So yeah, John's, yeah, actually got that one. Appreciate you. Definitely. Nice work. I would have taken it with you, but for one, there was news that was happening very soon. And then on top of that, the news price that was already there. Good entry though. Yeah, guys. So like we said before, like we talked about this too, John. If you guys don't like the market flow entries, don't take them, right? There's a lot of different strategies you guys can take. I'll give you guys a heads up whenever these strategies come up, and I'll continue to monitor the chart to see what's working. Right now, these market flow entries are working for me specifically, so I like using them. I like focusing on just one strategy because it happens so quickly. And then on top of that, there's also the divergence, which is one of the main strategies we were applying before we did market flow. And then on top of that, the breakout V3 continuation. The thing with the breakout V3 continuation is that it's a good strategy, but it doesn't come up very often. You can see over here, like this came up pre-market, this came up like it was against the trend, but nonetheless, they still hit. So it just depends on your preference on what you guys want to apply. And I'll try to give you guys as much of a heads up as possible when I do see them come up. There's a possible levels entry that came up right here, but it's right at the news candle, so it's not one that I would necessarily mess with. Again, the target price point is going to be the liquidity right here. Price hasn't hit it yet, but it's on its way down. So target price point for it to reach is going to be the liquidity right there. Then if price drops any lower, the next target is going to be news price and sessions down here. See how far price has dropped from this higher high right here. Okay, so prices dropped down about 172 points. Looks like we might get a reversal back to the upside now. The thing that I've noticed sometimes is when price drops, like say, for example, 150 points, you can typically catch a bounce off the next level. So like, for example, this is overextended in my opinion. Right here at the 500 mark, if you wanted to take a risky trade and you kind of just want to catch the reversal due to overextension, I mean, technically you can catch it at the next level. That's another thing I was looking at too. I was trying to put together some sort of strategy where we can catch these overextensions. The ideal way to catch these overextensions would be looking for a V1 variation or a CV pattern, but they don't come up very often. So for example, right here, there's a V1 variation pattern. I didn't even notice this at 645. There's a V1 variation pattern right here and it came down further. There's no other reversal patterns from the downside here. All right, so as price continues to drop lower, we may have a possible market flow entry right here. There we go with the first target. So the first target of liquidity right here just got hit. If you guys are taking the liquidity pushes, you couldn't take the push down to that price point there. Or if you guys are taking it right at liquidity, it's currently running right now. So let me just take this off, clean it up a little bit. There's actually two levels of liquidity right there, it looks like. These two lined up together. So I'll be looking for a possible market flow here for a sell on the next candle. Let's see if the volatility continues. So again, like I said before, if you guys want to take something risky, I mean, you can technically take the bounce right here off the the 450. I don't necessarily recommend it, but I'm gonna test it out right here during live market, see how it plays. So I'm not in this position. I'm kind of just looking at it. If this is something that we can use, possibly. The reason why I'm so like focused on a buy here is because the retail sentiment's so high. It's at 72% short. So I do think bounces are going to happen. It's a little tricky and it's a little risky, but so technically this would have filled right here. I don't know if it's actually going to bounce. I'm looking at the level 2 data right now. Level 2 data is like really heavy on the sell side. So it looks like this here, again, this isn't a strategy. I was just trying to test it out to see how it played through. I think I would have to measure it from the closest high. So obviously I wouldn't measure it from this high, but measuring it from this high right here, this is my same thought process. So let's see. It was too close. Measuring it from this high right here, I just want to see what level I would probably test it from. So from this high, it would probably be this next one down here. Not even this one right here. It'd be the 350. Okay. So I'm gonna test this out. Again, there's no strategy here. It's just me testing like this little theory that I've kind of noticed for overextension. So measured it from that high right there. Overextension is about 150 points from previous high. So you either look for that, or if you see right here, there's a possible CD pattern. If this candle here closes as a small green candle, it's a possible CD entry. Ideally, I don't want to trade counter trend. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't be using this for everyday use. It's only going to be used for like overextended markets, like very overextended markets. So looking at this here, if this candle closes with a, if this candle closes as a small green candle, this will possibly be a CV pattern. And then if we have that CV pattern right there, it's going to be a possible reversal back to the upside for bullish trend. Let's take a look at the bigger picture here. So looking at the 4 hour, it's bullish, 1 hour is bullish, 30 minutes bullish, 10 minutes also bullish, 5 minutes bullish, 1 minute here is bearish. So the 1 minute is the only time frame that is bearish right now. If this swings back up, this is again why ideally I'd look for some buys here, because if and when it does swing back up, the thing is it's overextended here on the 30, 1 hour and 4 hour. There's just a big candle that happened recently right here on these candles. And that's why it's retracing back down a little bit. But if the 1 minute here does cross back over to a bullish trend, it's going to be in line with the higher time frames. As you can see over here on the 10, this can have a market flow entry on the 10 minute actually if it bounces off that pivot too. Same with the pivot 5 right here. So on the 5 minute time frame, you can see price is bouncing off that pivot right there. So if it bounces off that pivot, it's going to be a market flow entry on a higher time frame. So ideally, I'd be looking for some buys here. I'd like to see some buys here for me personally. Doesn't necessarily have to be a buy, but again, for me, I think buys here would be more ideal. It's just there's not enough volatility here for it to actually push through and climb back up, right? Like this thing might be a snail move, just like yesterday. Snail climb back to the upside, and then eventually make it past. All right, let me clean this up a little bit. There's not really much structure here yet, but continue to see where this goes. So looking at this here on the 30 minute, there's the target right here as well. So price can continue dropping lower and then bounce off the pivot right here. Right, the level 1 pivot's still way up here on the 30 minute. So sells are still okay here. I don't want to put sells out of the idea because the sells are still okay here. Best case scenario buys, but the sells are still useful here. Because if you look here on the 30 minute time frame, there's still areas here for price to come down and touch. It's just there's a double-edged sword here because if you're focusing on the lower time frames, it looks like price is attempting to shift back up. If you're looking on the higher time frames, like the 30 minute over here, price hasn't reached its target yet, which is the pivot. So it just depends on like what you guys are looking for, right? For me, I don't really care because I'm scalping, so I'm looking for like these quick moves here and there. But it's a double-edged sword because there's one thing that can happen here where price will correct back up on the lower time frames, or there is this other thing that can happen where price continues to drop lower on the higher time frames, 30 minutes of the 4 hour. So it's a tricky market right now with regard to the differences between higher time frame and lower time frame. I mean, it wouldn't really matter because there's not really much direction here anyways. And it looks like the volatility here is starting to slow down again. This is typical again, like I said, guys, once you hit 7 o'clock, the volatility here starts to slow down a bit. There's just no movement. It's pretty flat for the most part. All right, let's see what happens here next. The good thing is that the spread's not super wide. So if you guys remembered on Monday, last week, spread was like at 8 points. Spread is back to where it normally is. It's basically between 0 and 2. So that's one of the good signs that just show that market is moving normal. Again, this is normal market for the summer market, guys. So it's not really a crazy surprise for us here that the market's pretty flat. So for one, it's summer market. For two, it's past 7. So the volatility tends to be a little bit slower around this time. There's a possible market flow entry that's coming up right here, guys. I'm not going to take it because we have a buy signal here. I don't like trading when there's a pending signal like that in the opposite direction. And especially because I personally would prefer to take buys here anyways. So if you guys want to take a market flow, it hasn't filled yet. There's also a V1 variation right there. Thanks, Kevin. That's another thing that I kind of saw there as well. So there's a lot of reason here not to take this possible sell. Because for one, there's a V1 variation. This is a reversal pattern. On top of that, there's a buy signal. So if this is the case, then I'm expecting price to make its climb all the way back up. Might not happen right away, but that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen over the next couple minutes or so. So the market flow right there filled. If anybody took it, it's currently running in profit. But again, a little risky because we have that pending buy signal that's just hanging out there. So I'm not in the position. Like I said, it's kind of risky because we have a V1 pattern right here. I'm glad you spotted that, Kevin. I didn't really notice that until you mentioned it. All right, just gotta sit tight. Nothing here right now. So I don't see any divergence. I don't see any breakout V3 continuations. I don't see anything here. As you guys can see, the volatility here is very low. So it looks like that momentum, the market flow just hit TP right there, guys. If you guys took it, if you grabbed it, nice. If you guys didn't, again, it's fine. Not really forcing any entries here. You guys can see how small these candles are. Divergence is starting to shift a little bit. So you can see right here, it's trying to shift back to the upside, but it's just not having much luck. So the divergence here is starting to split. This gives you a heads up that, okay, this is probably going to happen now. It's probably going to swing to the upside because it's really starting to split at this point. So if that's the case, you can look for a momentum divergence to the upside, which is ideally what I'd be looking to take anyways. Bring up that buy signal. Looks like this buy signal is going to close, and it'll probably continue climbing from here. So again, another possible divergence that could be setting up in a bit. Looks like we are now shifting back to buys. There's no market flow here yet, guys. Again, I'm looking for these pivots here to cross. So I need these pivots here to cross over a little bit. I'm looking for the bounce off the green pivot. So I need this to push up slightly, retrace, continue up higher. I needed to push it higher from where it's currently at. It's kind of just flat right here. It's sitting at this area. Just nothing going on. So the range right now is between, or the consolidation is between the 400 right here. We'll say 400 and 500 just for now. Just to, no, I'll come back to that later once it actually pushes out. All right, so we got price kind of climbing up a little bit. Like I said earlier, I need price to actually kind of push up a little higher. Have a small little retrace, continuation back up. I need these pivots to actually have some power behind it. So no market flow here for me yet. The volatility is still kind of low. I will be looking for some market flow entries for a buy though as it swings back up higher. Just watching to see as it crosses back over. Let's see. Patricia said, does anybody have a good trailing stop for why I'm making sure? Obviously starting after the 15-point TP. I don't know what people use, but for me, I use it at, like, my trailing stop is at 12. So I have mine set to 12 and then it moves my stop loss to 10 points. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it though. Ton of different ways. Possible market flow back up, but it's not doing what I need. So what I need here is I need this here to cross over a little bit. Need this to cross over and then climb up higher. So I'm not going to take any market flows here yet until I see a trend shift. The trend here doesn't shift yet. You can see the trend meter down below still red. Steven is asking, is it possible to do it by a phone? No. Not that I know, Steven. There isn't. You got to have it, you got to do it through Ninja Trader. So yeah, it only works through PC. Let's see. NM is asking, how do you feel about all the denials we are hearing from Apex? So, guys, this is the same talk we have almost every other day. I haven't heard of any denials, NM. So I don't know who you're hearing this stuff from. If you're hearing it from some other guy who's trying to promote some other funding company, which that's probably it. I'm pretty sure the same person you're hearing it from, they're promoting some other funding company. They're just trying to bash Apex because I don't hear anything. There's nobody in this group who's have denials. I just showed you guys my payout that I had on this for this month. My payout came perfect on time. Everybody here has been getting paid out on time. So I don't know about what denials you're talking about, but vet the person that you're getting information from. If that person is telling you some information and they're promoting some other funding company, their information is probably bullshit. Like you can't be oblivious to that. Like I don't get it. There's always people that complain about Apex, and those are the same people who are not funded and don't get payouts. Like I don't know. Yeah, everybody here said they love Apex. Kenny said, dude, Apex is solid. They're not going anywhere. Rashida said, I love Apex. I love Apex too. They're solid. So, I mean, I use Apex, guys. I'm not going to promote something that is not legit. Like Apex works. The only people who are complaining about Apex are the people who are not following rules, the people who are violating, the people who aren't even funded and aren't even getting payouts. So those are the people who are complaining. People who are actually getting payouts and actually trade and do well, they're not complaining about Apex. So, no, it doesn't stress me out, NM, because I'm getting paid out every 2 weeks, basically. Every 2 weeks, or if not every 2 weeks, every month when payout period comes. So no, it's not stressing me out because I'm not having any issues with them. But yeah, go back and vet the person that you heard that information from and see if they're promoting another funding company. Because I'm 100% sure they're promoting some other funding company. That's usually the game, right? They bash another funding company, they promote some other one, like, oh, Apex sucks, use this one. That's because you're getting some sort of affiliate fee from that other funding company. But I haven't heard any denials. Like I haven't heard one denial this month or last month from someone I personally know. Everybody here has been pretty solid. All right, so I'm looking for some entries here. Let's see. NM said, no, I heard from multiple people who always trade the same way. I know of one who has 130K payout since 2024 from Apex. Suddenly he's getting close to the fourth month and they're denying. So who's this person, NM? Because okay, now there goes exactly what I said. NM said they're only promoting other firms after they were denied. Oh, what a surprise, right? I told you they're promoting another prop firm. And you see, if they're not promoting another prop firm and they're complaining, then okay, I'll believe them. But if they're just promoting another prop firm like that, it's because they're promoting another prop firm. But I mean, you can think whatever you want, and I'm gonna keep using Apex whether you like it or not, or whether anybody likes it. They're paying me out perfectly fine. Everybody in our community, we've been getting paid out fine. So I mean, my opinion is there's nothing wrong with them. And don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Because I feel like everybody's kind of believing everything that they're hearing on the internet. Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you, NM. I already told you what I feel with Apex. I'm not gonna try to convince you to use Apex. If you don't feel comfortable with Apex, then don't use Apex. But I've been getting payouts every month, so it doesn't affect me. So yeah, my opinion and everybody's opinion here is that Apex is solid. We like Apex. I'm pretty sure that those people who got denied, they were doing something that they weren't supposed to. Because there's a lot of rules with Apex. The thing is, if you follow the rules, you should have no problems. We've been following the rules for years, or not even years, for months now. I've only been using Apex since January, almost a year now. Had no issues with them whatsoever. So over these, what is it, August now, 8 months, no issues with Apex at all. And that's because we follow the rules. All right, guys, so there's no entries here. I'm still looking for this market flow entry. There might be one here on the next candle, so I'm going to be looking for that here. So I'm looking for this to swing down, swing back up. So I'll be looking for this right here. It might be a little too late. Maybe come down a little further. I'll put my pending order right there. Looks like my entry has filled.
Order submitted.
So I gotta put my TP down a little bit. 1 point.
Order filled.
So it filled it pretty quick. The volatility here again is just kind of not really consistent. It's a little flat. I might get stopped out on this one here because of the volatility. But we'll see what happens here if it continues to climb up. It's just the volatility is not very consistent. It stays flat and then it goes, you just have some random spike right there. And let's see where this goes. All right, so price is kind of just sitting right there. We have a pending sell signal, which isn't looking too great. My entry wasn't the best. So you can see right there, I might get stopped out. Got stopped out, that's fine. Small loss right there, 500 bucks. And I will continue looking for the next opportunity here. It was kind of a tight entry. So right here, I was hoping for it to bounce off the pivot and shoot right back up. But again, like I said, this is the same market as yesterday. We now have the range here between 400 and the 500 mark. So I'll mark that up for you guys here to see. It's literally the same market as yesterday. Price just sits over here in the between these two levels right here. So we got price between the 500 and 400 mark. It's pretty much just ranging and consolidating within this area. If it stays below here, then we can start looking for some sells. So again, I'll look for some possible sells here now. If this becomes the case, it's just the volatility here is not consistent. It's kind of going back and forth. I'll watch this here. So again, I'm looking for this to swing up and swing back down. We got 35 seconds left on this candle, so it's got a lot of time. No entry here yet. Might happen on the next candle. Yeah, it's not going to happen on this one. It might happen on the next one though. So I'll be watching for this to swing up, swing back down. I need to come up a little higher. It's not really where I need it to be right now. So here's the volatility that I was mentioning earlier, just kind of flattens out a little bit. I need to push up, push back down. And this market is super annoying because you'll get like these small candles and all of a sudden this is where you got stopped out. You get a bunch of small candles, one big one, a couple small ones, another big one. There could be another possible opportunity here for market flow. Let me see if I could maybe set this up. All right. So I got this set up right here for a sell, just in case it comes back
Order
down.
committed.
We have 10 seconds left on this candle. It's now filled.
Order filled.
So now it's got to let it be. See where it's at. And again, the volatility has pretty much flattened out. In the position right here, I'm just going to leave it and let it run. The entry time was fine. So it meets the criteria right there. Entry is right where I needed to be. And now just wait for the volatility here to pick up. So the volatility is again flat right here, but we're just waiting for it to pick back up and shoot down to where it needs to go. And some volatility to the upside. If this one stops me out, then I'm going to wrap it up for the day. It's going to be basically 2 half risk losses. So 1 full loss for me here if it ends up hitting my stop me out. All right, so I'm down 1,000 for the day. Not that big of a deal. So 1,000 for the day across my accounts. Basically 2 half losses. Typically, I risk about 500. And I wouldn't be surprised if this thing comes back down. We're just trapped in this like sideways market for today. This is the same market as yesterday. The thing with yesterday is I didn't take any trades because I had a feeling that this was going to happen. And again, it just happened again here. So unfortunately, 2 back-to-back losses here. They're for half risk, 0.5%, which I risk about 500. And I'm just going to, before I trade on tilt, this is how you guys don't trade on tilt, right? You guys have to understand where your risk is for the day. Like for me, if I take 2 back-to-back losses for half risk, that's like 1 full trade for me. Then I just wrap it up. Again, here price is climbing back up. It's just a big range between these 2 price points. Let's see. So price is ranging between the 450 and the 500 right here. So not exactly the way I wanted to to have this trading day, but it happens. So 1% risk or 1.5% risk across all my accounts for the day, which is not really a big deal. And I'll have to just eat this loss for today, unfortunately. So let me count these losses for the day. So we took the first loss over here, which was for a buy. There was another market flow right there for a buy. Ideally, that's what I would have wanted to wait for, but I switched it up. So the first one over here lost, unfortunately. You can see it just barely triggered the stop loss, and then it came right back up because we got stuck in the chop here. So first loss is right here at 722. Nice. John actually caught the market flow for a buy in direction of divergence. So yeah, that worked out perfect right there. Divergence happened right there. Then the market flow happened actually on the same candle. So that's pretty solid. So let me go over here and put this over here on my official profits for the day. So small loss right here for 500, 722. And then we have the second one. Unfortunately, that happened right here. I thought this one here was going to play through. This one looked like it was going to be pretty solid. And then it just ended up reversing, of course. So this one over here got halfway to TP. and then it just ended up going complete reversal. So this one happened over here at 725, which is all good. I'm gonna take my losses for the day, and I'm going to move on until tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow's gonna be a lot better, so I can just recoup my losses from today. Let's see what my stats are for the week so far. So for the week so far, we had how many wins? We had 12th was the first day. Okay, so we had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we had 4 wins, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're only down to 1 net loss for the week. We're actually not that bad for the week so far. We had 4 wins and 5 losses. So unfortunately, 2 losses today brought us into a net loss for the week. But it's not too bad. It's just 1 net loss. For my accounts over here, 1 full loss is about 1,000. Half loss is 500, of course. I take half risk on my trade so that I have opportunity to basically come back if I lose the first trade. And unfortunately for this situation here, we had 2 losses, so that just counts as 1 loss, 1 total loss across the accounts. So, all right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop into the chat. I will see where I'm currently at right now with regard to. Yeah, no, these are cool. So the good thing is that I have or actually these accounts only took trades on a couple of them. Okay, so let me go over here real quick. Let me take a screenshot of my accounts. So I actually only took trades on because I have 7 more funded accounts that I need to cross over. And I'm looking at my losses here so that you guys can see. Pop this up here. Yeah, so my personal accounts over here, like my main accounts, they look kind of messy because of the trade that happened. The trade that happened on what was it? I think on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, what happened was like one of the accounts took it, but I didn't copy it. Like the copier wasn't working. So right now, technically, this should have been at 1,000 profit, but it has an extra loss for the week because they didn't copy the first win. So these are my main accounts right here, and then this one over here, I have like 7 more evals or not evals. These are the new PAs. So these need to be crossed over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my contract size on about 7 of my accounts down here. And then if they don't end up, making a lot of profit, I'll just close that one out and I'll switch these over. So I'll have some brand new PAs to run along with my personal account. So unfortunately, you can see my account over here. This is part of the game. It's a red day for me. Not a big red day because as you guys know, the 300K accounts, you could have a risk of 7,500, and you can see for the week so far, I'm currently only down 1,600, so it's not very much. So if you do the math here, 7,500 minus 1,598, I still have trailing drawdown of 5,000. So that's how you guys manage your risk properly. If you guys don't risk a lot per day, you'll be able to survive. Like I've calculated my risk where I have to lose 14. You have to lose 14 times back to back to back in order for me to blow my accounts. So I'm all right now. And we'll kind of see where this goes as we continue to move forward. So let's see if there's anything else over here. There's no entries for me to take right now. I'll look for some entries here if I see anything that comes up, but for me, so in order for me not to trade on tilt, I'm not going to take any more trades. If you guys don't know what tilt is, that means that like revenge trading. So that's how I control my revenge trading, is that I just don't take any more trades once I've hit my limit. My limit for the day is about 1,000. because I don't want to lose more than 1,000, of my trailing drawdown. So I'll continue to look for entries here, but again, I'm not going to take anything. There's a possible market flow that's coming up on this candle right here, but it's not exactly the best one that I'd take because there's news right here, news candle. Possible another market flow here coming up. So this market flow is currently running. There may be another one coming up right here on the next one. So possible retracement down right here, bounce off the green pivot, shoot back up. The thing that you want to be careful for here is going to be the news candle right here, or the news price. So possible market flow right here. Price did bounce off the pivot. You put your pending order right there at the opening part of the candle. And this will be a possible market flow if it swings back up. Hasn't filled yet. It's got 10 seconds left on the candle. It's now filled and it is currently running. Again, this isn't really a good area to be trading in because price is just going sideways. I've marked up the structure right here. It's currently at the top end of the structure, so this is probably the worst time to take a trade. This is a current range right now between the 500 and the 450. So it's a 50-point range as price goes back and forth between this area. Let's see. So Steven has a brilliant question. Steven's asking, Sean, why do prop firms deny payout if it's a large amount? Well, typically what happens is when it's a large amount, they actually investigate the trade. So like if someone requests like say 100,000 payout, right? They're going to go through their trades and they're going to see if this person was cheating or doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing. And that's why they get denied because they typically find something. If someone's making 100,000 in like 2 weeks, for the most part, they're probably doing DCA, right? Which is dollar cost averaging. It's the strategy, but it's not allowed on Apex. So that's like usually the biggest thing. What happens is they'll go back, they'll review their entries. If the entries don't line up with their criteria, that's where you get denied because you violated the rule. And that's usually what happens. The only people I see that run through that situation are the people who make the big withdrawals like that. Like I know a couple of people who made big withdrawals like 50,000 to 100,000 on a payout request, and yeah, they admitted that they were doing DCA, which is not allowed. So typically there's like two big things that happen usually with the bigger payouts that get denied. And this is from experience because I know people who've done this. They try to slide past the system, but they catch it. So one of the big things is a lot of people try to trade news. You can't trade news on Apex. Like you can't trade the big news spikes. You can trade news, but you can't trade the big news spikes. Like you can't trade NFP, you can't trade PPI, CPI. A lot of people try to catch those big spikes during CPI or PPI, and then they end up making all this huge profit. And then once they repress their payout, Apex goes through their trades and they're like, oh, you took this trade during news. You're not supposed to do that. That's violating the rules. That's why they get denied. The other thing is DCA, right? They allow people to dollar cost average in like once, but if you dollar cost average in like, twice or three times, then in that situation, you end up violating the rules too. The rules are pretty simple, guys. Like the rules are not very complicated. It's just people try to get by it and they try to scheme their way into making these big profits by taking super risky trades, and it just doesn't work that way. So for the most part, that's from people that I know who used to get big payouts through Apex, doing those types of things, but then eventually they catch on. So if you don't violate the rules, you'll be perfectly fine. Like for me personally, I'm making like consistent smaller profits, right? Like I'm making on my profitable days, I'm making like a 500 to 1,000 per account, right? Like in total, yeah, it's a lot of profit, but you can see every day consistently, I'm generally making about that much profit. So for me, I don't raise any red flags. And then on top of that, I also record all my trades. So if they wanted to question me and ask if my strategies, if I'm like, what am I doing? Then I just show them the live session and they They just approve it that way. So I've never been denied a payout from Apex. I know there's people on Apex that come, like there's admins on Apex that come and watch my streams and they know that I know how to trade. I'm not doing some random stuff. So it typically works out in my favor. Nice. So Kevin over here caught the market flow entry. Nice work right there, Kevin. Let's see. CJ's asking what's a DCA strategy? DCA strategy is dollar cost averaging. So like basically this is what people typically do. So for example, see how price is climbing up right here, CJ? And I'll do this on the clean chart. So say for example, you know, the trend here is bearish, right? Or say for example, the trend here is bullish, right? And I'll just replay it here. So this is the dollar cost averaging strategy that a lot of people do. You can make a lot of profit doing this if you're right, but if you're wrong, you'll blow the account. And this is why Apex doesn't like it, because they don't want people to be gambling. Like they want actual traders, not people who are gambling. Because if they copy your trades, they're going to blow a lot of money. So for example, say price is trending up, right? And then price dips down right here. What happens is someone enters a buy position, right? That's your initial entry. What happens here is price drops down lower. And then what happens at this point, they put another buy entry right here, right? So what happens is they have two different entries. When they have two different entries, it averages out the entry. So instead of having two entries right there, your entry is now right here down the middle because it averages out, right? And then what happens here is they keep buying the dip, price drops lower, and they're like, okay, this has got to turn at some point. So price drops right there, and then they buy another one. Right? And then at this point, their entry is now averaged in like right here. You can do this once with Apex. You can just do it once, but you can't do more than once. Because what happens is they just keep dollar cost averaging in, right? They just keep getting in lower and lower and lower. And then what happens is their account's blown. So Apex doesn't like this because if they're copying your trades, you're going to blow like how much money if you just keep doing that. You're basically gambling at that point. This is what they call, well, this is what dollar cost averaging is. It's basically buying the dip, but sometimes the dip doesn't finish dipping and then you end up blowing all the accounts. So that's what dollar cost averaging is with, I mean, that's a strategy. You're basically praying that price is going to come in your direction. You know, a lot of people do this. Like, for example, price is coming down right here. They just keep buying. They buy a little bit, they buy a little bit, and they're just praying that price is going to shoot back up to recoup their money. But then it just never ends up shooting up, and then they just end up with a blown account. So yeah, it's a stressful way of trading, but like it does work sometimes. Like not all the time, but it does work sometimes if you catch it properly. So for example, here, if you're taking it for a sell, price comes down, retraces up, and then you dollar cost average right there, and then it comes right back up higher and dollar cost average right there. And then at this point, price is back down, right? So if it comes back down, you're now back in profit because your entry is basically from this midpoint. And then you've pretty much reallocated all those profits from like this point right here, this point down. So it's a strategy that works. Like if you're lucky, you'll make a ton of profit that way. But a lot of times it doesn't. That's why Apex doesn't like it. That's like one of their most hated strategies. Like they have a whole rule just on DCA because people do it all the time. And you're basically gambling at that point. You're not even applying a strategy. You're just basically buying the dip or buying the top or selling the top and then praying that price will come back down. But a lot of times it doesn't come back down. Yeah, exactly. Kenny said you can only add to a winning trade, but I wouldn't risk it regardless. Yeah, I wouldn't even add trades at all. I just enter my full position. Like for example, these entries over here that I took a 7 contract, which is not that big of a deal. And my normal contract would be like a 14, 15, but I split it in half to 7 so I can take 2 entries. So instead of just taking like a bunch of entry or separate entries, I just take once, like one big one. And then if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And yeah, I mean, that's just how we trade. And Emma is asking, how much have you got sorry, I can't, let me reread your thing. How much have you got in payout from Apex this year? So I started using them in January. I think I got first funded in February. So every month it's like about like 5,000 to 8,000. So let's see. Yeah, I don't do every 2 weeks because I don't trade every day. Sometimes there's days where I don't trade, so I can't request a payout every 2 weeks. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But yeah, basically, so we'll just say eight. So February, March, April, May, June, July. It's like six. So I got about like six payouts, I think, at around 8,000. So like 8,000 times six. So I got about like 48,000 from Apex so far. It's not a lot, but that's because I was trading with the smaller accounts before. So before I was trading with the 150K accounts. Now I'm to 300K accounts. So this is probably going to double over the rest, the next half of the year. So around like 48,000, and then it'll probably be like times three. So probably by the end of the year, this is probably how much I make from Apex. Not a crazy amount, but again, the money from Apex that I'm making, the profits from Apex, this is all like free money basically. Because what I'm doing is I'm just funneling this over to my personal account. So I don't really use Apex as I don't really scale with Apex. I just keep it at 7 contracts so that I never blow the accounts, and then it's basically just free money whenever I make withdrawals. It's free money, gets transferred over to my personal account, and then for my personal account, that's where I'm going to scale in and take bigger contract sizes. Yeah, that's the game plan. I mean, because like with these prop firms, they're going to have new rules. Like eventually, there's going to be new rules coming out, and those rules are going to they're either going to make or break my trading. So that's the thing. Like I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Like right now, Apex is good. Apex is solid. I have no problems with Apex, so I don't mind using them. But in the future, if I do have problems, if and they don't like my trading strategy, then I'm gonna have to change to a different prop firm. But as of now, Apex is perfectly fine. I have no issues with them. CJ said a high level momentum just hit. Nice. That looks solid right there. All right, guys, it's about to be 8 o'clock. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, or put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wrap this up for the day. I'm done trading anyways. Today was it was a mess of a day. I probably should have just waited for the buys like I was waiting for earlier, but I mean it's all good. You have to take the risk sometimes. Like earlier from this morning, I kept mentioning I was waiting for price to swing up and provide me some buys. The only problem is that this buy over here kind of screwed me up. Like this one over here lost. So I was like, okay, price might be coming back down. I ended up getting stopped out in both sides. So I took a buy here, got stopped out. I took a sell here, got stopped out. If I just waited for the actual buy here, like what with John did, he waited for that divergence. And if we took this buy right here, this obviously would have been, the TP that we were looking for. But it's all good. It's all part of the game. You got to take risks sometimes. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. As long as you guys understand your risk management, you should be perfectly fine. Like for me, I'm perfectly fine. My trailing drawdown has barely been touched. I have a lot of trailing drawdown left, so I got a ways to go. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for now. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, come back here tomorrow, same place, same time as we close out the trading week. We're currently at one net loss for the week. So basically, I need a win tomorrow to bring myself back to break even for this week. 2 wins to bring us into profit for the week. Otherwise, we're just going to take it as is, and then we'll play through. On Friday, I think there's some news in the morning. Let me check real quick. So we have building permits at 5:30. That's about it. We have high impact. Actually, we have building permits at 5:30, and then we have Michigan consumer sentiment at 7. So hopefully we can lock in our trades between 6:30 and 7, and then by 7 maybe wrap it up, or wrap up my trading at least before the market either gets crazy or gets super flat. But all right, guys. So I think that's the trading day for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session. So.